next we'll do let's join our hands. Everyone please join your hands. This is the prayer to Sri Guru before we start learning Bhagavad Gita. Repeat after me. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. You all can unmute so I can also hear some feedback while you are chanting. Okay. Vandeham Shri Guruho
Vandeham Shri Guruho
Shri Yuta Padakamalam
Shriyuta Padkamalam
Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha
Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha
Shri Rupam Sagrajatam
Sri Rupam Sagrajatam
Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam
Sagana Raghunathan Vitam Sajivam
Sadvaitam Savadhutam
Sadvaitam Savdhutam
Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam
Parijana
Harijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam
Sri Radha Krishna Padan
Sri Radha Krishna Padan
Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha
Sagana Lalita
Shri Vishakhanvitamscha.
Saha
Next one. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu
Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu
Karuna Sindhu
Deenabandho Jagatpate
Deenabandhu Jagatpate
Bandhu Jagatpate
Gopesha Gopika Kanta
Gopesha
Gopika Kanta
Radha Kanta Namostute
Radha Kanta
Namostute.
Namostute
Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi
Where is it?
Tapta
Kanchana Gaurangi
Radhe Vrindavaneshwari
Radhe Vrindavaneshwari
Radhe Vrindavaneshwari
Vrishabhanu Sute Devi
Vrishabha
Sute Devi
Pranamami
Hare
Pranamami
Hare Priye
Priye
Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha
Vancha
Kalpatarubhyascha
Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha
Kripa Sindhu
Patitanam Pavanebhyo
Patitanam Pavanebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo Namaha.
Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Jaya Shri
Krishna Chaitanya
Prabhu Nityananda
Prabhu
Nityananda
Nityananda
Shri Advaita Gadadhara
Shri
Shri
Advaita
Advaita
Gadadhara
Srivasadi Gaura
Gaura
Vrinda
Shivasadi Gaura Vrinda
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare Hare.
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Hare Krishna. So today we are going to touch upon the spirit of Bhagavad Gita. Last time, what Prabhuji touched upon, and we could not complete it. So, a few examples and few pointers from there. And next, we will get into the first chapter. I'm sure everyone is eagerly awaiting
Yes.
to start the first chapter. So, yeah, one thing I would want to kind of say upfront. So, I'm sure everyone's eager. That's very good. Uh, but the process of the devotion is such that actually the means is the end. In other processes, you would do something to achieve some end, right? Here, the means or the process itself is actually the end, which means that when you're going through, that itself will give you so much transcendental pleasure that that itself is actually experiencing the love of God, which is the ultimate goal. So one should, even while, say, for example, chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra or reading Bhagavad Gita or doing any devotional activity, one should not, hurry up for the sake of doing it, but actually should do it very, very consciously and, with great attitude of devotion. So that actually one of the great acharyas, Srila Rupa Goswami, uh, apparently today is his disappearance day as well. So good that we are talking about him. Even in the pranam mantras, we kind of read his name. So we will also come to the meaning of the pranam mantras in one of the classes, but not today. So he describes how uh, advancement in devotional service actually depends on the attitude of the follower. So and that's what Krishna consciousness means. Consciousness means that you're doing something with a particular mood or a particular consciousness, right? So it's not just the externals that we do, but also the internal mood or attitude which matters the most. So Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, who's the founder Acharya of ISKCON, and we're reading Bhagavad Gita as it is. So he used to describe, so in the early days of ISKCON, there were so many devotees who were working outside in order to support the temple. When the movement had just started, there was, of course, a lot of need of funds. So, there were many devotees who were working outside. So, Srila Prabhupada, in one of the purports, actually, I think in Chaitanya Charitamrita, in one of the purports, he writes that, all these devotees who are working in the factories, having jobs, they're actually doing the same activity like any other karmi would do at work, right? The karmis are also working, and these bhaktas or devotees, they're also working in the factories. But these devotees who are working in the factory for the pleasure of the Lord, for supporting the temple, they are better. They are no less, or they are rather better than sannyasis also. So they are in actually perfect samadhi. Why? Because they are completely absorbed in loving devotional service, whatever is needed. That may be in any form, right? It could even mean working in the factory for the pleasure of the Lord, right? For supporting the temple. So they are perfect sadhus and they are in perfect samadhi, and great sannyasis like that. So, so the mood in which they are performing work is more important, right? So likewise, we may do all kinds of activities in our daily life. The attitude matters, right? In what attitude, what mood are we performing those activities? You cannot just say, okay, I'm doing something, or I'm reading Bhagavad Gita for that matter, but the mood could be very different. And that's what we'll be discussing today, the spirit of Bhagavad Gita, right? So just the first pointer, I think, who do you want to make this screen? Yeah, Vedabase. So one of the first pointers actually, or maybe let's start from chapter 1. It's okay. Spirit of Bhagavad Gita, we can just discuss directly. So one of the first pointers is that there are so many editions of Bhagavad Gita out in the market. Anyone want to take a guess how many different editions of Bhagavad Gita are there in the market?
Around 200.
200. Okay.
It's very less, huh?
Any other guesses? Anyone else wants to guess how many editions of Bhagavad Gita are there in the market today?
Maybe in thousands.
1,200.
1,200. Okay. Any other guesses? Yeah, it doesn't take too much to guess. Yeah, someone was saying something?
2 million.
2 million. Wow, that's too much.
We can guess and put any amount, but we don't want to do that. We want to just ensure it's right.
Yeah, yeah. So I think someone said 1,200, someone said 1,000. So it's around that. It's more than 1,000 different
Okay.
editions of Bhagavad Gita, actually. So and there is anyone who wants to become a little famous, they will write a commentary on Bhagavad Gita. I remember just a few months back, there was this person who pinged me on LinkedIn, and he was saying that I want to introduce myself as so and so. I won't take his name, and our interests really match. I was like, oh really? And then he mentioned that how he has written a book on Krishna called I Krishna, right? So just like everything is iPad, iPhone, he had written a book I Krishna. And the whole book was actually from a perspective of Krishna, how he experienced Mahabharata, and almost describing Krishna as a regular human being and what emotions he's going through while he's going through the Mahabharata war. So a very okay, he tried and attempted something like this, but it was filled with speculations, right? He basically tried to give his own interpretation of what Krishna must have thought and this and that, right? So so that's what we're talking about. There are so many people. Anyone comes up and wants to become famous, writes a commentary on Bhagavad Gita, right? Are we supposed to accept that? Are we supposed to accept that? What Bhagavad Gita to read? Today we
Somebody
are,
who needs to be enlightened, one who's writing it and who can give a correct interpretation, then it makes sense. Otherwise, it does not.
how do you identify the enlightened one?
As it is told by Krishna.
Yes, as it is told by Krishna. Yes, but how do you identify the enlightened one, Amit? I think we discussed this during the 3 days course.
I don't remember now. Sorry.
So yes, I would urge everyone to get a pen and paper or maintain a notebook. So Kali Yuga memory means writing.
Yes.
Right? So in Kali Yuga, our memories are very dull. So if we make pointers, make notes, it stays with us in our memory. Even if you don't open the book later on, or at least you'll remember a lot of points. Yes, Priya, you want to say something?
Yeah, so what you mentioned is hearing it from the authority.
Yes.
And also it's mentioned in the introduction that our senses are very limited.
Correct.
So we should not go as per our senses because we can relate up to a certain extent. But when we hear from the authority, we can follow it.
Sure. Sujata, you had read the entire introduction, right? So I'm sure you must have a lot of pointers now.
Yeah. No, not that.
Even I read the introduction.
Okay.
It's like,
Yeah, she is
it
my
is-
sister. So both of us had read it. So if my memory goes right, it says where Lord Krishna gives it, it comes to Brahma, then to Manu,
Yes.
and then I don't get the name, but that's
Ikshvaku or somebody.
Ikshvaku, and then that's how it translates. So that's where the original version.
So what is that? What is that chain called?
It is your passing on your, it mentioned something about the yoga system, that it passes right from the Lord on to the common man.
I'm tempted to look at the book now.
Please go ahead and open it, no problem.
No, but my book has only pencil marks. There is so much to understand. Like I've been marking every line with pencil.
So
Like,
great. I mean, and that's the beauty of reading. So, and I would really encourage everyone to get together, like I think Sujata and Chitra got together and read, and even Priya and I think some others were reading together. So I would really encourage everyone to get together during the weekdays and read together. So you can actually point out, what you don't understand, mark it, and we can discuss it during the class.
Okay.
It will become
I
really interesting.
now remember. I think you mentioned about you will check the affiliation, the degree, the
Yes.
sampradaya the
Yes.
person comes from, and then you can
Perfect.
trust.
Perfect. Great. Great. So the first thing we need to check is which university or sampradaya, right? So this knowledge has been passed down in a guru shishya parampara, like we
Yes.
discussed, and that's one way we can identify that the teacher we are approaching is bona fide, right? What are some other indicators that the teacher is bona fide?
What it stated that most things are what to say, eternal except karma. Karma is something which you got to, like sort of not allow it to be eternal. You got to see that, whatever is the karma, you need to do your duty, you got to be doing it so that you don't have to have those system of rebirth. Like that's the only thing which is not eternal, karma.
Okay. I'm asking to Amit's point that, what are the other indicators of understanding that I'm actually receiving knowledge from a bona fide source? Yes, Amit, you want to add some more points?
Yeah, just one pointer that the person is following those principles in real, that you want to follow that. Yeah, this lead by example. So that is a very simple thing, that what you are preaching, you are following it, and you can see that happening. Then you automatically develop that.
Excellent, excellent. Yes. So Acharya means one who teaches by example, right? So only an Acharya can, share that knowledge. And Acharya means one who teaches by his own example. He's personally practicing, just like Srila Prabhupada, he lived the Bhagavad Gita, right? So one who is living the Bhagavad Gita, we can learn from him very safely without, thinking too much. Otherwise, we have to check. And what is the triangle we discussed? Uh, there was one question we discussed how there is a check and balance. Anyone remembers? Yes. Okay, Amit, maybe come on before Amit
Yeah,
and Priya.
let's summarize. Yeah.
Wait. Amit and Priya, wait. If there is anyone who knows this, otherwise I'll come to you all. Anyone who is part of the course who knows what is the check and balance triangle when it comes to understanding what instructions we are getting from the guru is, or from others are correct or not. Anyone? We mentioned a check and balance during the 3 days course. No one? Okay. Again, please start writing. Yes, Amit or Priya, one of you. Actually, yeah. Let's. I think Priya would definitely know. So Amit, please go on.
You mentioned about the triangle which had guru, sadhus, and shastra. So they were the 3 pointers, and we can check and balance whether what we're learning is correct.
Perfect. If there was an award for memory, I would just give it to you right away.
It is just the notes. I was referring to my notes, so I could recall now.
Perfect. Very nice. Okay, I'm really happy that you remember. Okay, so there is this check and balance of guru, sadhu, and shastra, right? That's how we can understand. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada actually wrote Bhagavad Gita as it is. Prabhupada mentions that at the time Srila Prabhupada was about to write, there was no single edition which could be completely bona fide, could be called completely bona fide. There were so many which came close, but still there were, individual mental speculations injected into the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. Someone wrote Bhagavad Gita for political purposes. Someone wrote Bhagavad Gita to promote their own ideas about karma. Somebody wrote Bhagavad Gita for some other reason, right? So, like this, the essence of Bhagavad Gita, the spirit of Bhagavad Gita is lost, right? When people are giving these mental speculations, right? Now, let's take an example. Okay, Gitika. Okay,
Yes.
so if I want to know about Gitika, who's the best person to tell me about Gitika?
You're asking me?
I'm asking everyone. You can
Okay.
also answer.
Her mother.
Sorry?
Her mother.
Her mother, okay.
Anyone close to her who knows her.
Anyone close to her, okay.
Knows
She
her.
herself.
She herself, yes. So, the person who can tell me the most about Gitika is herself, right? Apart from her,
Yes.
her mother, her immediate family members, or somebody who's really close, they can tell about Gitika all the details, right? And so, when we want to know about God, who's the best person to tell about God?
God himself.
God himself.
God himself.
God himself, yeah.
Perfect. Yes, God Himself and others who are very, very
Others.
close to the Lord.
Yeah.
That's what we discussed, I think, last time, where Akinchana Prabhu was mentioning. We pass very secretive knowledge in the family itself, right? So you yourself are the best person to talk about yourself. So therefore, Krishna comes himself, right? If Krishna did not inform about himself, right, we would not know about God at all. And if Krishna did not describe that we are not this body, we are the soul, we would be struggling like, all these different philosophers and scientists, lifetimes of, a full lifetime just to come to a conclusion that, we are more than this body. So, therefore, Krishna comes very mercifully to talk about himself. Otherwise, we would not know. So, when in Bhagavad Gita he's saying, I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it's not out of ego. Oh, look, I am, so great. It's not out of ego. It's actually, his mercy that he's giving us information about himself. Otherwise, how would we know? Correct? So, the spirit of Bhagavad Gita is to understand who the Supreme Personality of Godhead is, who is Krishna, right? And in what mood we should approach Bhagavad Gita, right? Or Krishna. So how to know God and to love Him is the essence of all real religions, right? Religion means to know God and to love Him. So Krishna Himself is coming, giving us Bhagavad Gita, telling about Himself so that we can understand Him, and then thereby knowing His glories, start loving Him, right? So God created this world. Why? Because we wanted to enjoy separately, right? So just so that we kind of circle back to understand that we cannot enjoy separately, and the only way we can be happy is to connect to God. He created this world, right? So how should we approach Bhagavad Gita? I think we discussed a little bit last time. Akinchana Prabhu touched upon it. But I would want to hear from you guys. How should we approach Bhagavad Gita? Like we discussed, attitude is really important. So in what mood and attitude should we approach Bhagavad Gita?
Faith.
Mode of goodness and passion.
And mode of goodness and passion. Okay, who was that? Sorry.
Shelza.
Shelza. Okay, mode of goodness and passion. Interesting.
I would say faith. Faith.
Faith and surrender.
Faith and surrender. Yes, very, very nice.
Attentive.
Bhakti.
With devotion. Perfect. Right. So, just like when we, travel, okay, somebody is catching a flight, and I think I gave this example earlier, but it's relevant here. So just like when we're catching a flight, right, we go to the airport and we buy a ticket. What is ticket? It's a paper. It's a piece of paper, right? But we are having that faith that yes, if I show this piece of paper, I'll be allowed to board the flight, right? And when we get inside, we don't go to the cockpit and say, "Sir, please show your license. Are you having a valid license to fly?" Right? We don't do that to the pilot, correct? We have faith that this is a authorized airlines, and they would have trained pilots with proper license, right? Otherwise, it's a question of life and death. If the pilot is not trained, then you will die. So we have that faith. So similarly, we should approach Bhagavad Gita with initial faith, right? And just like an author of a book The author of the book describes the story, and if we understand it the way the author has written it, then we can get what he's trying to say. Then we can understand, what story he really wants to convey. Just for example, Romeo and Juliet, right? So you cannot, have a premise that, oh, Romeo was a big businessman and Juliet was basically a, garbage picking girl. You cannot have that premise, correct? Because the author himself is saying that, okay, Romeo was not so well to do, Juliet was, I don't know, maybe a princess. I'm not sure. I've not read Romeo and Juliet, but right. So whatever the author is describing, we have to go by that premise, and basis that we can understand what story the author is trying to convey. We cannot, have some other conclusion. Oh no, Romeo was some Kadiya sitting in Rajasthan. We cannot have that premise, right? So to understand the book, we need to go by the author's version of how he's describing. Similarly, who's the author of Bhagavad Gita? The original author of Bhagavad Gita.
Ved Vyas?
Ved Vyas.
Vyas.
Yes.
But who originally created Bhagavad Gita?
The Lord himself. The
Krishna
God
himself.
himself. Yeah.
Himself.
So Krishna himself is speaking Bhagavad Gita, and we should understand it as it is. Right? So the spirit of Bhagavad Gita, or the mode of Bhagavad Gita, is actually in Bhagavad Gita itself, where Krishna is saying, never was there a time when I did not exist, you did not, nor all these kings. We always existed, and even in the future will always exist. Now, if you give an interpretation, or Krishna is saying, surrender unto me directly, right? He's saying, surrender unto me. But some commentators, they write, oh, you don't have to surrender to Krishna directly. You have to surrender to the unborn within Krishna. Now, what is that? Right? There is some unborn within Krishna, right? So what is their interpretation? Their interpretation is that, God, he is actually influenced by Maya. He has come under the control of Maya. He's taken a human body, and now he's subjected to the laws of the material world. Just like the person I was describing who wrote I, Krishna, he was describing as if Krishna is just some regular human being, or so he was some great personality. No, Krishna was not some great personality or a regular human being or a great king. Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. And that is the basic premise we should start understanding Bhagavad Gita with. If someone does not have enough faith, Prabhupada writes, at least theoretically, we should agree that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. Otherwise, no matter how many times you read Bhagavad Gita, you may memorize all the shlokas, backward and forward. You don't understand Bhagavad Gita. Right? So Bhagavad Gita is like that open secret wherein everything is given, but to unlock or to actually have that realization, right, of the verses of Bhagavad Gita, what the Lord is really saying, to unlock, the key is devotion. The key is, like someone said, surrender, right? So Arjuna surrendered to Krishna, and then Krishna started describing, and he was able to understand. And like Arjuna understood, in the same way, we should also follow the footsteps of Arjuna to understand, not, rely on some, other random interpretation, not unauthorized interpretations. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati, only through devotion, right, or through by the mercy of another devotee can you understand him, right? Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati, I can be understood only by devotees or only through devotion, right? So we should actually take help of, someone who's very close to Krishna, someone like Srila Prabhupada, right? Someone who's coming in that parampara, someone who's lived the Bhagavad Gita, to actually understand the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, and thereby we can actually digest the knowledge. Otherwise, we'll be some scholar, but without even, scratching the surface of what really Bhagavad Gita is. Right? You'll find so many scholars like that, right? Like I said, they would know all the shlokas, they could quote left, right, and center. But so once I'll just give a small example. So once in Vrindavan, Srila Prabhupada, he had just returned from, this was about 1974 or 75. Srila Prabhupada had come to India with some 100, 200 disciples, Western disciples, and Vrindavan temple construction was going on. Then a day came where they wanted to do a yajna for the inauguration of the temple, and some of Srila Prabhupada's disciples, they were chanting so many mantras, and one of the Acharya, one of the Goswamis from one of the other temples of Vrindavan, he went to Prabhupada and complained that, Prabhupada, they don't know how to chant these different mantras. Their pronunciation is completely wrong, right? So Srila Prabhupada said their pronunciation may be incorrect, but their renunciation is perfect. Right? So internally, how renounced they are and how attached to the Lord they are, that is perfect. And so even if they are chanting imperfectly, not a problem. Their mood, their attitude is perfect, right? So that's how we should approach Bhagavad Gita, in the mood of surrender, in mood of actually seeking knowledge. So just like another simple example, I think it's a famous one, everyone would know, of an empty glass and a filled glass, right? So if you're filled glass already, it'll just spill out. You should approach in a mode of an empty glass so that you can actually absorb that knowledge. Another incident in the history of how we should approach Bhagavad Gita, or what should be the mood, is exemplified by Arjuna himself, right? So just before the Mahabharata war, right, it was declared that whosoever wants to join whichever party, they should decide before the war. After the war, because it was Dharma Yudh, there were certain rules set, which means that after joining a particular party, you should not switch, right? So decide before only who wants to join. And it was a world war. Kings from all across the globe, they came and joined this war. There were 64 crore people who died on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So everyone was trying to get as many people on their side, and Duryodhan was very, very tactical in this. He tried everything possible to get everyone on his side as much as possible, and therefore we see 11 Akshauni Sena versus 7 Akshauni Sena. 11 on the side of Duryodhan, 7 on the side of Arjuna. So both Duryodhan and Arjuna, they actually went to Krishna. And Duryodhan, he wanted Krishna's Narayani Sena, which is very powerful, and it was huge. So Duryodhan, he desperately wanted the Narayani Sena of Krishna, because he knew if Narayani Sena is on the other end, his game is over. So he desperately needed Narayani Sena on his side. So he went, and even Arjuna wanted Krishna to be on his side. So he also went. So early in the morning, both of them, they went, approached Krishna, and Krishna was sleeping. He was lying on the bed. So Duryodhan, he had actually went in first, and he sat next to the head of Krishna. While Arjuna, taking a humble position, he sat by the lotus feet of Krishna, waiting for the Lord to, be awake. So in some time, the Lord opened his eyes, and as he opened his eyes, he looked towards his feet, and he saw Arjuna, right, sitting just next to his lotus feet, and also massaging his lotus feet. And then he turned his head and looked at Duryodhana. And then he got up and he said, "Okay, please tell me, what can I do for you all?" So Duryodhana said, he was almost about to speak, but Krishna stopped him. He's like, Arjuna is here first, so I would want to hear from Arjuna. So Duryodhana contested, no, I was here first. I came in first. So, but Krishna said, no, actually I saw, when I opened my eyes, but I saw Arjuna first, right? And Arjuna is younger to you, you should give him opportunity to first say. So Duryodhana was getting so anxious. Narayani Sena to gaya. He was like literally biting his nails, right? And then Arjuna, he spoke, and he said, Krishna, I want you to fight from my side. So Krishna said, okay, but I should tell you, since both of you all are here, I will be on one side and my Narayani Sena will be on the other side. And on top of that, I will not pick up any weapon. Right? I will not pick up any weapon. So someone will think that it's practically useless. And Duryodhana was thinking, oh, Krishna's practically useless. Right? Now Arjuna will just take away the Narayani Sena and I have to deal with Krishna who's not going to lift any weapon. What is the use? So he was thinking like that. And Arjuna, without thinking, in a split second, he said, Krishna, I want you to be on my side. And there was no limit to the joy of Duryodhana. Right? Internally, he was jumping. Right? But externally, he was not showing that. He's like, okay. And he's like, okay, abhi kya kar sakte hain? He chose you. So, okay, I'm satisfied with Narayani Sena. No problem. I actually wanted you, but Arjuna, he's younger, so I gave him the chance. It's okay. I like that he took the Narayani Sena with him and left. So Krishna, he turned to Arjuna and he said, Arjuna, what did you do? Right? On one side, I'm not going to fight. I'm not going to lift any weapons. Right? You could have easily taken the Narayani Sena. So Arjuna said, no, it's okay. Let 10 Narayani Senas go there. I don't mind. I want you. Right? Why? Because Arjuna was dearmost friend and dedicated servant of the Lord. He knew, the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, and he wanted to be by the side of the Lord. Like that. So, and Prabhupada writes, and even I think towards the end, Sanjay mentions that wherever there is Krishna, wherever there is Arjuna, there is Shri, Lakshmi, right? And there is Vijaya, there is victory, always on the side of, wherever there is Krishna and Arjuna, like that. So the demons, right? They want the energy of the Lord and not the Lord, right? The demons, they want just the energy of the Lord. They're not concerned with the Lord. Bhagwan ko side mein hatao, Bhagwan ki shakti mere paas aani chahiye, right? Like we all want Lakshmi. Everyone wants Lakshmi, right? Everyone wants money, right? We don't want Narayan. ठीक है, नारायण की पूजा नहीं करेंगे, but Lakshmi आनी चाहिए, right? So that's how our mentality in Kali Yuga has become. It's almost demoniac, right? That we are just wanting the energy of the Lord, right? It should be my brain and the Lord's power. I should think and decide what should happen to me in my life and to others also. It should be my brain because I'm more intelligent than Lord, and it should be Lord's power because He can do anything. That's our attitude, right? That we propose and God can dispose, right? But it should be actually the other way around. The mood of surrender or the mood of service is that whatever is the Lord's desire, my desire should be in unison with that. I should carry out with all my strength, intelligence, and knowledge whatever is the desire of the Lord, right? And Krishna is expressing so many of his desires for us in the form of Bhagavad Gita, right? This is our direct dialogue, one-on-one, to Bhagavad Gita, to Krishna. And while reading Bhagavad Gita, sometimes we may think, it's not very personal. Krishna is talking, he's talking to Arjuna, he's not talking to me, right? A simple way to, make it super personal, you should just, maybe write with a pencil, right? Say, for example, dear Sujata, or dear Krishna, dear Chitra, or whatever, dear Amit, please accept my blessings. Then read the shloka, then read the purport, right? And then say, your ever well-wisher, Lord Krishna. Right? So it becomes a personal letter from Krishna to you. Right? And if you accept it in that mood, that, okay, Krishna is directly talking to me, this is his clear instruction to me right now, right? Won't you be excited to implement immediately? Right? And in that mode, if you live, then you're truly living the Bhagavad Gita. Right? Prabhu, you want to add something? Since Partha Prabhu is also very expert in this subject matter, I would ask him.
I'm not at all expert, but just one point I'll just add since Prabhuji is asked. Uh, Prabhuji was mentioning about how, you know, living entities in this world want to enjoy the energy of the Lord and not the Lord. And he was mentioning how, uh, you know, the mentality of the people in Kali Yuga is like that. And it also applies in general to everything that we see around us. So the energy of the Lord is spread everywhere. So, you know, whether it's the elements of the earth with which we try and manufacture and use so many things to our own advantage, you know, whether it's industries, big roads, skyscrapers. So this is all actually the energy of the Lord. And we have a full-fledged plan in this world to how use the energy of the Lord for our own comforts and happiness. Uh, and we keep the Lord aside. So, you know, this is the same mentality that Duryodhan also had. You know, so we need to just keep that in mind always, and you know, accept, you know, uh, the message of Bhagavad Gita and devotion. There is another story uh, of you know, Lord Chaitanya, you know, who is one of the incarnations, one of the incarnations, or actually Krishna himself, who appeared 500 years ago. And he, you know, he's the one who actually inaugurated this movement of, you know, chanting the holy names of the Lord, which we are now also continuing. And when once he went on a tour to South India, you know, wherever he would go, he would just chant the holy names of the Lord, and people would uh, just join him, forgetting their own bodily identifications in terms of what color, caste, creed, religion, no matter what. They just forgot everything, the enmity that was there between individuals. In fact, it said that even the animals joined, forgetting their enmity in the process of chanting the holy names. So like that, once while he was passing through South India, he came across a temple where outside the temple there was a Brahmana who was not learned. He was not learned in the sense he could not read. But because his guru had asked him to read the Bhagavad Gita every day, he would try and imitate and try and recite the verses of the Bhagavad Gita, which he actually could not do because he was not, you know, literate. And there were the other Brahmanas who were there, who would look at this, you know, illiterate Brahmana, and they would say, oh, you know, he doesn't even know how to read the Bhagavad Gita. You know, he doesn't know anything, but, you know, he's just making an attempt, he's just making a show. You know, what's the point? You know, they would say, like, and they would make fun of him that he just doesn't know anything at all. You know, he's just trying to, you know, show that he can read, but he doesn't know. Look at how he pronounces, and he doesn't know Sanskrit. So they would make fun of him. But nevertheless, he continued trying to recite the Bhagavad Gita every day just because it was the instruction of his guru. And once when Lord Chaitanya was passing by from that side, Lord Chaitanya is Krishna himself, he saw that this Brahmana who was illiterate, he was actually crying tears. And he approached him, he said, what is it that makes you cry like this? You know, why are you crying? So then the Brahman explained his story. I mean, he said that, you know, I was asked to read the Bhagavad Gita by my spiritual master, my guru. But I'm not literate. Nevertheless, I try because it's the instruction of my guru. And you know, whenever I take the Bhagavad Gita in my hands, I, you know, immediately the picture of Krishna, you know, who has become the charioteer of the chariot driver of Arjuna, you know, comes in front of me. And this picture, when it comes to my mind, it just touches me and moves me so much, because Krishna is like the Supreme Lord himself. And Arjuna, who is his friend, is actually riding behind. Uh, and Krishna has chosen to become his driver. You know, anyone here would be very comfortable becoming a driver of someone here. Maybe someone is from that profession. But generally, we are not so comfortable. In India, specifically, we will look down upon such a thing, you know. So, Krishna, who is the Supreme Lord himself, has chosen to become the chariot driver of Arjuna, you know, just out of love. And when this picture comes to my mind, you know, tears start flowing from my eyes. This Brahmana explained. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this and how he had understood the love of the Lord for his devotees, and similarly the love of the devotees for the Lord, you know, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that you have actually understood the Bhagavad Gita perfectly. So this, you know, understanding of the Bhagavad Gita which is the love for the Lord and the Lord's reciprocation with his devotees, is actually the topmost understanding. And this approval of Lord Chaitanya in this regard is more than any other doctorate thesis, something that a person may do on the Bhagavad Gita. Like Prabhuji was saying that, you may learn all the verses of the Bhagavad Gita and maybe a scholar in that regard. But, this approval of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for this Brahmana is more than anything else. So the mood with which we need to approach is not a scholarly way. We've all joined the course maybe with certain intentions in our mind. That I want to learn the Bhagavad Gita. What do I want to learn it for? So we need to dig there, and that's why Prabhuji, he so nicely mentioned at the beginning that, it's one thing to read the Bhagavad Gita, and the other is to know how to actually go about it. So the means is the end. So thank you. That is all that I wanted to add. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Partha Prabhu. Okay, so before I move on, and we'll now move on to the first chapter. I'll quickly give you an overview, and we'll probably try and touch upon the first shloka as well in this class, and then we'll take it forward from the next class, the other shlokas. So before I move on, any reflections on whatever you've heard so far? Any questions? Any reflections on what you've heard?
Sir, what about those checks and balances which you had mentioned about? I would like to know about that in brief, just whatever it is.
Yes, so this is the check and balance triangle, Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. So if Guru is saying something which we are not sure whether it's correct or not, should I follow this instruction or not, we can always, or it seems a little bit off in terms of whether this is supported by scriptures or not. So we should always check the scriptures, confirm with some other sadhus as well. So we can check whether the Guru is bona fide also with the help of Sadhu and Shastra. Like Shastra is giving so many details about the qualities and behavior and character of an ideal Guru. So we can check the Shastras, look for these details to understand whether the Guru is bona fide or not. Similarly, we can approach some other sadhus, bona fide sadhus, to understand whether the Guru is bona fide Guru or not. Similarly, if there is another sadhu and we want to understand if the sadhu is bona fide or what he's saying is correct, we can always refer back to the Shastra, or we can check with our own Guru, right? Similarly, if you cannot understand something in the Shastra, we can always check with the Guru and also understand it from a different perspective from the sadhus as well, like that. So there is this triangle, Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. So this basically forms our check and balance to be sure of whether the knowledge we are receiving or the instructions we are receiving are correct or not. Does that sound okay?
Yeah. Thanks, sir. Thanks a lot, sir.
Sir, I have to ask something.
Yeah.
So while we were reading the introduction, I realized that every person understands it in a different way. Maybe the essence is same. Maybe the faith is there, surrender is there, bhakti is there, but in my own this thing, I will relate in a very different way. Why does that happen?
Sure, because all of us are individuals, right? Till the time the essence is maintained or intact, till the time you get the principles correct, the details can change, right? Or your realization, of course, because you're an individual, you have had certain experiences, you will relate it to your own life in a certain way, and you will have your own way of application as well. And of course, you should always, check if there is any doubt in terms of whether you're applying it correctly or not. Again, with Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, you can have that check, right? Anywhere we are unsure of, whether I'm doing it correctly, whether this is exactly what it means, how I should apply in my situation. So that is something which is very, very personal instruction or a personal application. So that obviously will differ, and one should also have a check and balance in terms of check with seniors, check with Guru, check with different sadhus, or refer other scriptures to get more clarity, so that you're sure whether you're applying it correctly or not. Just to give you an extreme example, is how, people reading Quran misinterpret, and they are waging a war against the world. That's an extreme example of misinterpretation, what it can do, right? So they are trying to apply, but it's the most destructive way of application, or not even understanding the real principle. So till the time you're understanding the principles correctly, like I said, the details can change, and of course we are individuals, so it will be different, or it will have its own flavor. Just to give you a very simple example, uh, in India we have a left-hand drive, right? And in if you go to US, I think you have a right-hand drive, right? So here you will know that, okay, if I can actually overtake someone from the right, in the US it'll be completely opposite. It'll be on the left hand side. There's a lane for people who want to kind of run without any limitation of speed. Right? So it's completely opposite. But what is the underlying principle behind both these rules? The underlying principle is to avoid accidents. The underlying principle is safety, right? So if till the time you get the principle correct, the details can change, not a problem. And you can apply it in your own individual circumstance.
Thank you, sir.
Any other thoughts or reflections? How we should approach Bhagavad Gita?
One question. Yes. I know it's may not be directly related. We say that God is omnipresent.
Yes.
He is everywhere. Yes. But we still go to places of worship. We travel far. How do you explain this? When He is omnipresent, He is here.
Correct. So I think Kinchana Krishna Prabhu also touched upon this last time. I'll give you a simple example. Just like radio waves are everywhere, correct? It's everywhere. You still need a mobile to catch a signal, to talk.
Yes.
Talk in the air. Hello, how are you? Right? So similarly, we don't have the eyes right now to see God everywhere. Bhagavad Gita describes that a sadhu, he can see the Lord everywhere in every atom. And thereby we have an example of Raghunath Das Goswami, who's one of the 6 Goswamis, great acharyas of Vrindavan, right? He would offer 2,000 obeisances, Dhanvat Pranam, full Dhanvat Pranam, right? In a day, 2,000, counted. And any ant also passing, anybody passing, he will just offer obeisances. Why? Because he could see the Paramatma sitting in that living entity's heart. He could see the Paramatma even in an ant. Right? So we don't have that vision now. And Archa Vigraha, the Lord mercifully agrees to come in the form of Archa Vigraha, right? In the form of a deity, so that we have an opportunity to serve Him. Right? God is everywhere. Please serve God. How will you serve? If you want to do some personal service to the Lord, right? There are 2 ways. Either you follow His instructions, right? That is one service, or you personally serve, right? If you want to serve someone, right? Either the person tells you, okay, ye karke aao, and you do it. Or the other way is you actually personally serve the person. Vapu means the physical body, by cooking for the person or getting him whatever is required immediately. So there are these 2 kinds of service, Vapu and Vani, right? You serve the Guru or the spiritual master through Vapu and Vani also, right? Vapu means physical, serving the body of the Guru, and Vani means serving the instructions of the Guru, right? So Vani is more important, of course, right? Because even when the spiritual master leaves the world, the Vani remains, the instruction remains, and you can actually follow that. But Vapu is as important as well. While the spiritual master is on the planet, it is said, there's this famous, I think, shloka from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Bhakta pada dhuli, bhakta pada jal, bhakta bhukta avashesha, 3 mahabal. Right? In devotional service, there are 3 items which are super potent, which can actually make you advance very, very quickly, which is bhakta pada dhuli, right? The dust from the lotus feet of spiritual master or a pure devotee, bhakta pada jal, or even the charnamrit from their lotus feet. Bhakta bhukta avashesha, which means the remnants of the food that has been accepted by the spiritual master or the devotee, or even any items which has been used by them, right? Teen Mahabal, these are like, if you in terms of modern technology, if you actually add some turbo boosters to your bicycle and it runs like a rocket, it's that, right? So yeah, we can struggle in our own bikes, but if you want help, right, these are the turbo boosters attached, like, rockets. It'll just take you, zip you through your to the destination, like that. So this is also very, very important, right? So the Lord himself agrees to appear in a form that you can actually see, and it's also for our minds, right? How can you concentrate on something which you cannot see, which you cannot touch, you cannot feel, right? It's difficult. So the Lord understands this, and therefore he comes in a form which is tangible, which we can experience directly, right? So therefore he agrees to come in the form of Archa Vigraha, and this Archa Vigraha Murti is not a concoction of the mind, but it is actually taken from the scriptures, how the Lord looks, right? What is his form like? And then there is a process called Pran Pratishtha, which means we are inviting the Lord to sit and be present in the deity form. He's there everywhere, right? But he's also there in the deity in one sense. But we are still specially inviting Krishna to be seated so that we can serve. So we are requesting him to please be present there because we want to serve, right? And therefore you can actually, serve him by dressing him, by giving him a bath, by offering food, right? You can actually engage all your senses, right? At the end of the day, we are, our body is a combination of these senses, and which is ultimately controlled by the mind. So if you are somehow able to engage all your senses like this in service of the Lord, the mind gets controlled. Otherwise the mind will jump from one thing to the other. It will need some engagement if you don't give it, right? So Lord, understanding all of this, as very, with his own intelligence, which is supreme intelligence, understood this and given us the form of deity worship. Is that okay?
Yes. Very interesting.
Okay. Any other questions or reflections? From what you heard, anything you liked, anything you feel you can personally apply immediately?
Prabhuji, I have a very silly question. You may have discussed before, but a very, very basic question. The question is that we say that Krishna is the supreme God himself, and so there were different reincarnations of God. Krishna is one of them. That is the basic common knowledge which people are aware. So, is there more to it? I know it's a very basic information I'm asking. You have discussed before, but if you could just
Sure.
touch upon that.
Sure. So I think the very first thing we should understand and be aware of in the terms we use. So Krishna is not a reincarnation, right? So reincarnation means that it's for us. Reincarnation is the word which is used for us, wherein we die and we again come in another body. So Krishna, he doesn't come accept a body. Krishna, he doesn't accept a body in terms of he is the self same. He has a spiritual form, and whenever he comes, it's avtaran, which means he comes down in the same form, right? And Krishna is the avatari, which means that he is the source of all the other avatars, right? It's not that, oh, I like Krishna, therefore I'm saying this. It's mentioned in the scriptures, therefore I'm saying this, right? Ete cham shakala pumsa krishnastu bhagwan swayam indrari vyakulam lokam hridayanti yuge yuge, which means that Krishna is the original source of all the other incarnations, and it's not reincarnations, incarnations, right? And all the other Vishnu forms, they are actually coming from Krishna, right? So I know what you're talking about, the popular notion that Krishna is the eighth avatar or the seventh avatar of Lord Vishnu.
Yes.
That's a popular notion, but if you actually read the scriptures, it's the other way around. Krishna is the source of all the incarnations. Is that okay? Okay. All right, it's already 12:13, so we'll move on to Bhagavad Gita. So if you can quickly project. So what I'll do is I'll quickly touch upon the entire overview for chapter 1, which is going to be not much, but and then we'll chant the first shloka. We'll get into the details a little bit of the first shloka itself, right? So chapter 1, observing the armies on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So chapter 1 is almost like, setting the scene and the introduction to the entire Bhagavad Gita. Chapter 2, of course, is the entire summary of the whole Bhagavad Gita, right? So, in fact, Bhagavad Gita broadly is divided into these 3 sections, right? The first 6 chapters, the middle 6 chapters, and the last 6 chapters. So the first 6 chapters are primarily, although it covers a lot of other items, primarily talking about Karma Yoga, right? The middle 6 chapters are focused on Bhakti Yoga, right? Whereas the last 6 chapters are focused on Jnana Yoga. So it's like a sandwich, right? There is Karma Yoga, there is Jnana Yoga, and in between the butter is there, the main cream is there, which is Bhakti Yoga. So Bhakti Yoga is like protected in a case like that. So the first chapter primarily, like I said, is setting of the scene, and so from shloka number 1 till shloka number 27, right? It is the entire scene is described, and Bhagavad Gita, Sanjaya, who is actually the assistant of Dhritarashtra, he starts speaking the first verse. Dhritarashtra starts speaking the first verse, and Sanjaya speaks the second verse. And Dhritarashtra describes or asks a question, which will come on to the first verse once we do. And Sanjaya, he's able to describe the entire scene of Mahabharata, right? By the blessing of Vyasdev. So Sanjay was a student of Vyasdev, and by blessings of Vyasdev, he was able to describe the entire scene of what was happening, live telecast, what was happening on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and he was narrating that to Dhritarashtra. So that's the scene, and then we get on to who all were there in both the armies, the next few shlokas, and from shloka number. So that's 1.1 to 1.27 till 27th shloka. All this is getting up. All this is being described how both the armies are lined up on that battlefield and prepared to fight, and how they had blown their conch shells, etc. And from 28th verse till the end of the chapter, 42nd verse, Arjuna starts giving reasons for not fighting, right? So Krishna, he takes the chariot of Arjuna in the middle of both the armies, and seeing his grandfather Bhishma and his teacher Dronacharya, right? Arjuna, who was completely prepared to fight, now is bewildered, right? He's and it's described how his mouth is drying up, the Gandhi was slipping from his hand, and he's unable to maintain his balance or equilibrium, and his mind is reeling, and he's not able to understand how can he fight against his own relatives, right? And then he starts giving reasons for not fighting. This is something we discussed even during the 3-day course. He gives some 5 powerful, very 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 powerful reasons for not fighting. So that goes on till the second chapter of and then finally he surrenders to Krishna, and then Krishna starts speaking the Bhagavad Gita. So this is the entire, in a very short, a quick overview of the entire first chapter. And now what we'll do is we'll actually, read the first shloka. Yeah. So this is something we should also memorize, right? And like I said, I mean, we can do a little bit here, but if we can break it up, into groups during the week, whoever wants to connect with the other person, and then or maybe we can do it for y'all. We can divide y'all into groups, and you should catch up at least once in a week apart from Saturdays to read, to memorize certain shlokas, right? So that'll also give you a boost in terms of learning Bhagavad Gita very very systematically. So let's chant the first verse, and we will repeat the chanting a few times so that it's easier for you to memorize also. The more you hear, the more it's easy for someone to memorize. Okay. So I'll chant first and you can repeat after me. You can unmute your mics so I can hear your response as well. Dhritarashtra Uvacha
Dhritarashtra Uvacha.
Dhritarashtra Uvacha.
Dhritarashtra Uvacha.
Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre.
Dharmashetre Kurukshetre.
Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre.
Dharmashetre Kurukshetre.
Samaveta Yuyutsavaha.
Yuyutsavaha.
Samaveta Yuyutsavaha.
Yuyutsavaha.
Mamaka Pandavaschaiva.
Maka Pandavasaiva.
Mamaka Pandavaschaiva.
Mamaka Pandavasaiva.
Kim Akurvata Sanjaya.
Kim
Sanjaya.
Kim Akurvata Sanjaya.
Kim Akurvata Sanjaya.
We'll repeat these the shloka multiple times. Let's understand the meaning of these words so that it becomes easier for us to memorize. So Dharma Kshetra, we can just scroll up to the sentence. So Dharma Kshetra means Dhritarashtra. So let's start with Dhritarashtra Uvacha. Sorry, Dhritarashtra Uvacha means the king Dhritarashtra said. Dharma Kshetra. Dharma Kshetra means the place of pilgrimage. Now, why was Kurukshetra called place of pilgrimage? So the history goes like this, that this is on the banks of river Saraswati. Now, river Saraswati is a very, very special river. And in most, I think in almost all places, it's currently invisible. So either it's underground or it's not visible to the eyes for us right now. So this is on the banks of river Saraswati, which is again a very, very holy river. And King Kuru, right? So ancestors of Dhritarashtra and all of, even Bhishma Dev, ancestors of them. King Kuru had performed, a lot of yagyas, and he had actually marked this place and, as a place for doing all pious activities, all yagyas, all devotional service to Lord Vishnu. So this place, and being pleased thereby Lord Vishnu, and he himself performed a lot of austerities in this place. So being pleased by his austerities and all the yagyas, etc., Lord Vishnu appeared to King Kuru, and he gave him the benediction that anyone who dies in this place, either by performing austerities or in the battlefield, right, will attain Swarga without fail. So everyone who died actually on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, right, they would have at least achieved Swarga, at least, right? Of course, people were dying looking at the, face of Krishna in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So obviously they had a much higher destination, and different according to who had what move. Okay. So therefore, Dharma means Dharma, and Kshetra means place. So the place of pilgrimage, Kurukshetra, in the place named Kurukshetra. Samaveta means assembled. Yutsavaha. Yutsava comes from the word Yuddha, right? Yud or Yuddha, you can relate like that in your mind. Desiring to fight. Yutsavaha, desiring to fight. Mamaka means my party, my sons, right? Pandavas Chaiva. Pandava means sons of Pandu. Cha eva, and certainly. Kim akurvata Sanjaya. What did they do, Sanjaya? Okay. So I think you can associate the words, the Sanskrit words now to the meanings, right? So let's chant with that understanding now. Okay, let's do the translation quickly. So translation is, O Sanjaya, Dhritarashtra said, O Sanjaya, after my sons and sons of Pandu assembled in the place of pilgrimage called Kurukshetra, desiring to fight.
Bhagavad Gita त्यांचीच आहे.
What did they do? Okay, someone's talking between. Okay, let me repeat this again. Dhritarashtra said, O Sanjaya, after my sons and sons of Pandu assembled together in the place of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do? Right. So this is the question being posed by Dhritarashtra to Sanjay, who was able to see everything and was narrating to Dhritarashtra. So let's chant the shloka a few more times. Dhritarashtra uvacha
Dhritarashtra Uvacha
Dharmashetre Kurukshetre
Dharmashetre Kurukshetre
Samaveta Yuyutsavaha
Samaveta
Mamaka Pandavaschaiva
Mamaka Pandavasya
Kurvata Sanjaya
Kuruvata Sanjaya
Dharmashetre Kurukshetre
Dharmashetre Kurukshetre
Samaveta Yuyutsavaha
Samaveta Yutsavaha
Mamaka Pandavaschaiva
Mamaka Pandavasya
Kimma Kurvata Sanjaya
Kimma Kurvata Sanjaya
Dharmashetre Kurukshetre
Dharmashetre Kurukshetre
Samaveta Yuyutsavaha
Samaveta Yutsavaha
Mamaka Pandavaschaiva
Mamaka Pandavasya
Kimma Kurvata Sanjaya
Kimma Kurvata Sanjaya
Anyone here who wants to lead by leading? Anyone who wants to lead how I was leading so that you
I
can
can
lead
try.
one
I
line
can
and you
try.
can follow. Yeah, please go ahead.
Amit.
Amit, you can start with it.
Uvacha
Dhritarashtra Uvacha
Uvacha
Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre
Dharmashetre Kurukshetre
Samaveta Yuyutsavaha
Samaveta
Samaveta Yutsavaha
Mamaka Pandavaschaiva
Mamaka
Mamaka Pandavasya
Kim Kurvat Sanjaya.
Kimma
Kimma
Kurvata
Kurvata
Sanjaya.
Sanjaya.
Very nice. Anyone else?
I can
Yes.
Dhritarashtravacha
Dhritarashtra Uvacha
Dharmashetre Kurukshetre
Dharmashetre
Kurukshetre
Savaha
Yutsavaha
Mamaka Pandavasya
Mamaka Pandavasya
Pandava
Kimma Kurvata Sanjaya
Kimma Kurvata Sanjaya
Very nice. Anyone else wants to try?
I'll try.
Yes, please.
Can I try?
Yes, yes.
Okay. 1 minute. There's Dhritarashtra Uvacha
Dhritarashtra
Uvacha
Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre
Dharmashetre
Kurukshetre
Samaveta Yuyutsavaha
Samaveta Yutsavaha
Mamakaha Pandava Chaiva
Mamaka Pandavasya
Kim Akurvata Sanjaya.
Kimma Kurvata Sanjaya.
Anyone
Sir,
else?
sir, I want to try.
Yes, please.
Dhritarashtra Uvacha
Dhritarashtra
Uvacha
Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre
Dharmashetre
Kurukshetre
Samaveta
Samaveta
Yutsavaha
Mamaka Pandavaschaiva
Mamaka
Pandavasya
Kimakurvata Sanjayah.
Kimma Akurvata Sanjaya.
Okay, so we will take 2 more recitations, and this time everyone try and hear and repeat and not look at the screen.
Okay.
Okay, so who wants to lead now?
I'll try.
Yes.
Looking at it, right?
You can try looking at it. Others can just hear you and not look at the screen and try to follow.
Okay. Dhritarashtra Uvacha
Dhritarashtra Uvacha
Dharmashetra Kurukshetra
Dharmashetre
Kurukshetre
Samaveta Yutsava.
Samaveta
Samaveta
Mamaka Pandava Shaiva.
Mamaka Pandava
Ukurvata Sanjaya.
Kim
Kima
Akurvata
Sanjaya.
Very nice. One more, anyone?
I'll do it. I'll say. Yeah.
Yes, please.
Dhritarashtra Uvacha.
Dhritarashtra
Kurukshetre.
Dharmashetre Kurukshetre
Samaveta Yutsavaha.
Samaveta Yutsavaha
Mamaka Pandavaschaiva.
Mamaka Pandavaschaiva
Kim Kurvat Sanjaya.
Kim
Kima Akurvata Sanjaya.
Very nice. So, Prabhu, can you stop projecting this? Anyone who wants to try without looking? So I will help you with the meaning if you get stuck anywhere. So
Only one line I can manage as of now.
Okay, let's hear that one line.
Dharmakshetra, Kurukshetra.
Dharmashetre Kurukshetre. Yes, and they assembled there to fight. What is that?
Yes.
So what is that in Sanskrit?
Samaveta Yuyutsavaha.
Samaveta Yuyutsavaha. Then he's saying, my sons and sons of Pandu.
Mamaka.
Yes.
Mamaka Pandava
Mamaka Pandava
Shaiva.
Kim Kuruvata.
What did they do? Oh, Sanjaya.
Kuruvata Sanjaya.
Kimma Kurvata Sanjaya. Perfect. Anyone wants to try the full thing? Or one line also is okay.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Let's give an opportunity to Praveen first, without looking. Huh?
Okay. Dhatrashtra Uvacha.
Dhritarashtra Uvacha.
Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre.
Dharmashetre Kurukshetre.
Samveta Yujutsava.
Samaveta Yujutsava.
Mamkaha Pandavashavaha.
Mamaka
Pandava
Kim Kurvatah Sanjaya.
Kimma Kurvata Sanjaya. Wonderful. Hari Hari Bol. Let's everyone clap for a minute. Excellent. Excellent. Yes. Anyone else wants to try? I think Priya, you want to try? Kavita also?
Yes, sir.
Yes, please, Kavita, go ahead. And then next Priya.
Dhritarashtra Uvacha
Dhritarashtra Uvacha.
Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre
Dharmashetre Kurukshetre.
Samaveta
Fighting. Assemble to fight.
Yutsava
Samaveta Yutsava.
Mamaka Pandavaschaiva
Mamaka Pandava. What did they do, O Sanjaya?
Kima Kurvata Sanjaya.
Kimma Kurvata Sanjaya. Very good. Yes. Let's try one or two more people. Priya, you can go next. And anyone else who wants to, please be ready.
Okay.
Dhritarashtra Vacha.
Dhritarashtra Uvacha.
Dharmashetre Kurukshetre.
Dharmashetre Kurukshetre.
Samaveta Yuyutsavaha.
Samaveta Yuyutsavaha.
Mamaka Pandavas. Shaiva.
Mamaka Pandava.
Kurvata Sanjaya.
Kimma Kurvata Sanjaya. Anyone else? One last.
Sir, can I try?
I can do.
Okay, 2, 3 speakers. So yes, I think Subramanyam Prabhu,
Yeah.
he kind of said
Dhritarashtra Uvacha
Dhritarashtra Uvacha
राष्ट्रवाच
Dharmashetre Kurukshetre
Dharma Kshetre
धर्मक्षेत्रे
Kurukshetre
कुरुक्षेत्रे
Samaveta
Samaveta Yuyutsava
युयुत्सवः
Mamaka Pandavaschaiva
Mamaka Pandavaschaiva
पाण्डवश्चैव
Kurvatu Sanjaya.
Kim
किं
Akurvata
कुर्वत
Sanjaya.
सञ्जय
Excellent.
Very good.
Okay, so request to everyone. This is the first sloka of Bhagavad Gita. This at least you should memorize. It's not very difficult, right? So please memorize this. And what we'll do is, should we do that breakout room right now? So what we'll do is we'll split you into groups immediately, and this is just going to be for next 2-3 minutes, so that you have a group of 4 or 5 people. So these 4 or 5 people can catch up regularly on one of the weekdays to spend half an hour or 15-20 minutes, whatever is available, to read together, to practice the shloka recitation together, right? So it'll help you to understand and learn much more. So there has to be some self study also. So if you do it in a group like that with some peers, it just becomes so much more easy. Even when I would give certain tasks, like last time I gave to read the introduction beforehand, so a lot of y'all could not do. So if there is a group, there will be a push and a motivation to do it. Okay. So I will now.
So,
Yes.
so we have those who have already formed a kind of a group. Can we stick to that, or
Yes,
you
yes,
want
yes,
us to
yes.
shuffle?
Yes. Or should we just assign some leave? No, no. I'm saying let them stick to it, but अभी हम breakout करेंगे तो it'll be like.
So it's okay, sir. Once a week we can meet this group, and rest of the days we date every day. So rest of the days we can continue with the same
Sure,
group.
sure. Yes.
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah,
Yes.
that's fine.
And it's not that we just have to meet once. If there are people more enthusiastic wants to meet, other days also you can fix up amongst yourselves and meet even more regularly to learn Bhagavad Gita, read Bhagavad Gita. So I will now,
Yes, sir.
Oh, you have 5 rooms? Okay. So we can break that out. So you'll be asked to join a particular room. You join that, you'll be out of this. Just know who the people are. You can exchange numbers or contacts, etc., and then you can end the class. Okay. So even I'm included in this group now. Okay. So how many rooms are there now? Okay. Let me enter the group. No, you are co-host now. Hare Krishna. So Amit, Priya, Rani, Devidasi, and Sharmin.
I got disconnected. I came back.
Okay. From second group onwards, you just start entering the groups. So I think 3 of you all can connect. Please, share numbers amongst each other, and then please connect with each other so that you guys can, anytime during the weekdays, you all fix amongst yourselves and spend at least 15-20 minutes, if not half an hour. If half an hour, then great. To go through the readings, and it could be simple. Somebody reads one paragraph, you read the next, the third person reads the third paragraph. Like that, you can spend 15 minutes together to read together or even practice the shlokas. So that way you can actually have a very, very systematic study and be prepared on Saturdays as well.
Just one. Yeah. Sorry, I just go to the other rooms to share. Sarah's already here and she already had a group.
Okay,
So
is that okay?
the time and go ahead and
So please share your contact details with each other, so y'all can or just discuss how you want to connect with each other. It could be a Google Meet link, it could be anything, right? So Sharmin, Amit, and Priya Rani. So I'll just leave this group now. I'll give the same instructions in the other room. Till that time, you guys can please have a chat and make sure that you guys meet regularly. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
तो आपका क्या time preference रहेगा?
Hello, are we back in the go? No. Hello.
No.
Acha, Prabhuji has joined. Okay.
You're on mute. You're on mute. You're on mute. Vicky Prabhuji, you're on mute.
Oh my God. Okay. So you guys please share numbers, connect regularly, at least once in a week, at least half an hour, if not half an hour, minimum 15 minutes, not less than that. You guys can catch up together, read, and also practice shlokas. Okay? Yeah, share numbers with each other, or if you want to catch up with a Google Meet link or any other link, do that as well. Just figure out amongst yourselves how you want to catch up, and make sure every week you guys meet once in a week during any of the weekdays, not Saturday, any other weekdays or Sunday also.
But write down your names because I think the message might go to everyone.
So I'm heading to the next group. Please discuss amongst yourselves.
And your number. So 4-5 people were there in this group.
So I have Praveen and Meghna Mataji, your number. I'll add you to the group. Khali Chinmay, Mataji, what's your name from?
At present, it is reflecting as iPhone.
Oh, iPhone. Okay, no worries. So Preeti, Pava, I got it.
Yeah.
Sujata, Gitika, I think I'm not there, but I will create that admin group and then we can start off from this Monday, 8 p.m. in the evening.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You guys already are on track. I was just about to say, please share numbers and make sure you fix a day and time, and everyone of you all meet.
Yeah, we have fixed Monday evening 8 p.m. So we said each one of us will read it out first, then each one will explain what we understood. If we are on the same page, any clarifications we will ask you in the next session, so
Sure.
that all of us are new at this.
Sure. And you can also do it in a format where, say for example, if there are 3-4 pages I ask you all to read, or you decide to read what we've covered. So one person can read 1 or 2 paragraphs, then the next person can read the other following paragraphs, and the third person like that. And you guys can also practice shlokas. So the first one, of course, you should practice, because that's like a homework from memorization.
Yeah, that's what we just spoke about. Yeah. Okay.
So I think
we'll close all here.
We'll close all the rooms now. We'll come back.
So we are supposed to leave now, or?
Hello, sir. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Sir, I think आपने सुना what we were talking about. Are you in our group?
Me? No, I am in a different group. I am in
Okay, so I think everybody has started leaving. So I think
Is
we
it
are
okay?
out
We
of
can
that
leave
group.
now.
Sorry?
We are out of the groups now. We all can share our.
I have been telling everyone the same thing.
Yeah. So we are all separate groups. We can share our numbers with each other, and then later on,
Yeah, we can do that. Perfect.
reach out to each other.
All right.
I think everybody has somewhere put their name. So there is, I don't know who is the admin, the name in the mobile. Because when we were talking, their names are not there. It's just a mobile number. So I think if everybody can add their name at the side of their mobile, then we can create those groups. I'm not able to see the names.
A good idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't see the names to create the group.
you just send this as a message to all so that everybody can change their name?
Yeah, add your name at the side.
Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you.
Please don't miss your group meetings, and we'll see you next Saturday. We will also kind of come in between sometimes to attend your group meetings to see how you're doing there, and we'll also meet on Saturday. Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dandavat pranam.
Dandavat pranam.